Hi, it's Tego Venturi with the Venturi Group, of Real Broker here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with a look at the November home sales data for the Albuquerque area. We're looking at the greater Albuquerque area, the four-county area. These are single-family detached homes, and I'm going to run through this relatively quickly. We're looking at the raw data right from the Albuquerque MLS, so it gives us an idea of everything that happened in the last month. Well, actually, it gives us data all the way back to, you can see here, we can go back to, let's see, how far back do we go? We go back to, we can go back to 2003 in this case. And this is a great chart. Let's look at this. This is pretty cool, actually, because it tells us, let me line this up better. There we go. Home sales, closed sales. But what we're looking at here is a 12-month rolling average. So if we go back to the 2006, we had an annual pace of almost 13,000 homes at the peak in 2006. That dropped all the way down to in 2011 and in 2012 to about 6,000 homes being sold in the Albuquerque area. We come back, so from about 2012 all the way through, we peaked out here back in 2021. About 14,000 home. That was ahead of the previous high here in '06, and now we're down. We're down a lot from the last few years here. And again, when we're talking about down, we're just talking about the number of homes exchanging, the number of people actually buying and selling homes and moving. Let's look at one other data point on that. Shoot, this keeps moving on me. Sorry about that. Homes for sale. So this is the number of homes on the market. And again, at this case, we're looking at the 12-month rolling. And you can see that we're pretty low. On average, over the last 12 months, we've had about 1,200 homes on the market, give or take. If we just break that down just to the monthly data, you'll see here for November, we're at about 1,400. That is down 5% from last year, which again was pretty low. Now we had, last year we had it kind of bump up a little bit because last year we really had that interest rate shock. Right in here, about in May, June of last year is when interest rates really started to go up, and that made inventory increase. But then as we went into the winter, it pulled back, and then we came back up. This is really small. It's really hard to see here. Let's look at a 3-year chart. So point is, still very constrained supply, meaning the number of homes on the market is still very low. And so now we're at the 3-year chart, just showing again, we peaked out here last month, or in October, excuse me, number of homes on the market, and it's pulled back here a little bit in November. You can see we normally do get these seasonal pullbacks like we did last year here. All right, let's talk about pending sales, because that's actually some good news in the sense that we've seen an increase in the number of homes going under contract. So November, we saw almost 14% increase in the number of homes that went under contract. About 625 of them then did in November. Part of that, I think, it has to do with interest rates, because we did see a pretty good pullback here in the last month on interest rates. We peaked out at about 8% in October. Now we're back down just over 7%, depending on how you measure it. But again, or what you qualify for. But we really have seen a pretty good pullback, almost of 1%, 1 full percent in interest rates. All right, let's jump over to pricing, because, of course, that's really what we want to know is, are prices going up? Are prices going down? Where are we at? So when we look at the average price, the average single-family detached home in the Albuquerque area was at basically 399,000 for November. That is down. We did peak out here in August at 420,000. Not unusual to see some seasonal pullbacks, but year over year, we're up about 6% over last year. And you can see we did have that spike last year in May, pulled back through until, there's November of last year. So that's what we're compared to this year. So last year, November, it was 377. This year, it's 398. Very similar in the median Different numbers, of course, but median price in Albuquerque for November was $350,000. But let's jump over to our price per square foot, which kind of takes out some of that variable of the larger and smaller homes. And you can see we're at 207 for November. And again, we had a peak here in August. We do normally see, let me go a little further out here, do a 5-year. We do normally see some peaks, like here's June of 19, it peaked out and then just kind of flattened out through the summer. And then starting in April of 2020, things kind of just started going up and up and up and up. Peaked out in last year. We had a pullback through the winter last year. And then again, starting in January, home prices went up. Peaked here in August. We've had a little bit of a pullback. So what it comes down to is, month to month, there's always going to be a little bit of variation. We're always going to see a little bit of pullback this time of year into the fall. We're in December now, but 8%, 8.4% increase in the price per square foot on average in the Albuquerque area over the last year. I actually went back to November of 2019, just pre-pandemic, a 4-year trend. We've seen a 56% increase in the price per square foot over that time. So just about that much appreciation in that time, which is really, we know, I think most people know in the housing market, affordability challenges are a thing. That interest rates are high. Home prices have gone up that much in the last few years. We have limited supply. We still have demand, even though demand is down, like we looked at when we looked at pending sales. Only 625s went under contract in November of this year versus, let's go back to November of 21. It was almost 900. So, yeah, I mean, things have definitely slowed down from where we were over the last 2 years, but home prices have continued to go up. There's a lot more that I can show you here, but that gives you the basic idea of where we are at in the Albuquerque housing market. It's steady. We're seeing plenty of sales. Home prices just seem to keep kind of chugging along and going up. We haven't seen anything that's going to put any stress on the market. I track the number of price reductions. I track the number of people that are reducing price. We haven't seen any big change there. People are, reducing price, but there's nothing significant that says that home sellers feel like they need to do anything drastic to get their home sold because the demand is still there. If you've got any questions about real estate in Albuquerque, we are the Venturi Group of Real Broker. You can reach us at 505-448-8888. Thanks for watching. If you got any questions, again, about real estate, reach out to me. I'm Tego Venturi, and it's tego@venturiteam.com. Thanks. Take care.